2, 1, ignition.
Why did you start IASA?
Well, it's quite a long story. In around late August of last year, there was this competition hosted by an airline, which was Air, which was to set the longest flight ever. Yeah, and I really wanted to take part. What I did at first was make a prototype double fuselage aircraft,
Yeah.
but it really didn't turn out well in the design. So then we thought on spaceship to orbit the Earth, so it won't need any, fuel.
Yeah.
So what we did was create the XLNG Stardust rocket, which was a really, really small, very stubby rocket.
Yes.
That rocket launched in total 15 times. Yeah, and it was actually a plane kit rocket. So it was just like a plane kit, just so it was like flying a plane
Complete.
kit, but you just flew it vertically. When it came to land, right at last second, you had to click the detach button
Yeah.
when you're like really close to the ground, and then you have to fall and right into the water. The floats deploy,
Yeah.
and the crew gets rescued by a helicopter. So
Wow.
that's kind of how the missions went. Um, the deadline of the contest, which was September 1st, was already coming by, and the XLNG Stardust still was not ready for a 8 hour long orbital flight.
Yeah.
So we just decided to just leave the contest and aim for something higher, which was
Ah.
setting the highest altitude record.
Have you achieved that then?
Yeah, we actually did. First launch, which was in Launch X1,
Yeah.
the first suborbital flight, was just around a mere 1 million studs or something like that. And then we just came back down.
Ah.
After that, we were just doing some test flights with payloads to 5 million,
Yeah.
then 10 million, which was Launch X7. And finally, at Launch X11, we actually duplicated that to 25 million.
What about your next launch?
Well, the story about this launch is actually, quite amusing. Yeah, it's 4 months of planning, and we hope everything goes well.
Yeah.
There are thousands of ways a launch can go wrong, but there's only one that it could go right.
Well, we
This
just hope it goes right then.
Yeah, and it's so many hours of training and preparation. And at first, this was thought to be impossible, but we started doing a bit of research into like orbital mechanics and into the actual Apollo program and the aerodynamics that the spacecraft would need.
Yeah.
And we ended up with the Aero Shuttle, which is basically a sled-looking giant spaceship, which launches like the space shuttle, and it will launch on May 19th at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the moon landing, the actual moon landing, would be 6 days later, which I think would be May 25th. It will be 3 days of actually getting into lunar orbit and another 3 day of orbiting the moon. And then on the sixth day, we will actually land. It will
Nice.
be a 1 day mission, and then we go back and arrive back at Earth and 7 days later.
So what's your like history in Ro-Aviation then?
It all started in 2015. I joined my first Roblox flight, which was actually a Fly Doha flight. It got me completely immersed into it. At the time, a super realistic aircraft on Roblox because I was coming from like dynamic flight simulator and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. It's like really blocky Lego planes.
Oh dear.
And then seeing this CSG A320, it was just great. And with like the lounge and checking, it just felt like so realistic to me.
Yeah, they used to fly out of London City, didn't they?
Yes,
I
London
remember.
City Airport. That was like November.
Yeah.
2015. Back when I was living in Panama, which was quite a while. Um,
Yeah. So
and from then, I
yeah,
started looking into other airlines,
yeah,
and
that's
then
cool.
I started my YouTube channel,
Yeah,
which somehow got
Gab's
like
Aviation.
1,000 subscribers.
I remember that. It just kept growing.
Yeah, mostly because I just tried my best to do like things that were different. Because when I say something and people start saying "Holy shit, crazy," then that's when I know that I'm doing something good. That I'm actually innovating because I'm doing something different, and
Yeah,
always aiming high, and that's how I reach my goals.
yeah. So, what do you hope for the future?
Well, when it comes to first of all ISA, we are going to have a lunar base before 2020.
Oh, nice.
And we're gonna have four lunar habitation modules, and we're going to send the Atlas Space Hub, which is our space station. We're gonna send it into lunar orbit, and then we're gonna have a permanent stay on the moon.
Nice.
And we'll do some resupply missions, of course, and with of course, a renewed capsule that can actually reach lunar orbit.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have a base on the moon, and we're gonna use its resources, and maybe even construct a launch pad there, but that would be like quite a long while from now.
yeah.
And in 2020, we'll be headed to Mars.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna have to end this interview there. It's been nice speaking to you, Gabs.
All right. Yeah, it's nice speaking to you as well.
Anyway, thank you for joining us.